Thank you for watching the Sterling Crane Spotter training video. As a spotter, you are responsible for the overall movement of the crane or equipment. To help you, this video will take you through the following topics: spotter roles and responsibilities, hazard assessment and walking the route, types of cranes, visibility and blind spots and where to stand, additional spotters, communication, and crane steering. The spotter is the vital link between the operator and the area around the crane. You must always have a clear, unobstructed view of the crane and the operator at all times. If the operator ever loses sight of you, he or she will stop the crane until you are back in sight. Remember, if you can't see the operator, they can't see you. Make sure you are clearly and uniquely identified as the designated spotter with a high visibility vest or an arm gauntlet. Do not allow anyone to cross the intended path of travel. If someone does get into the intended path of travel, issue an emergency stop signal and clear the area before proceeding. Participate with the operator in completing the field level risk assessment, identifying potential risks in the area or the route. If the path of travel brings the crane within 2 feet of any structure or hazard, signal the operator to stop. If the crane must be positioned closer, the operator will proceed at creep speed. If at any time, for any reason, you feel the job is unsafe to proceed, stop the job immediately and contact the operator and supervisor. Potential hazards are everywhere. It's important that the operator and spotter physically walk the route to check for hazards, both on the ground and overhead. Know the clearances of the equipment you're working with, especially when traveling under power lines. Don't proceed if you think it's clear, only proceed when you know it's clear. Complete the operator's FLRA and address any identified hazards. If you cannot remove or control the hazard, contact your supervisor immediately. Of our fleet of cranes at Sterling Crane, there are a few specific crane types that we would like you, as a spotter, to be familiar with. Please note that this is not an exhaustive list. We will only be covering the 3 most common cranes: the rough terrain, all-terrain, and truck mount. Most rough terrain cranes have 2 axles, 3 in the larger models, allowing it to move very similarly to a standard truck. The boom sits to the right of the cab and can be lifted during movement. However, the boom remains connected and still presents a smaller blind spot, even when the boom is raised. The all-terrain and truck-mounted cranes move a little differently. They have 4 to 9 axles on the carrier, which means they take wide corners. They can be driven with the boom over the front or over the rear in a dolly. When driven over the front, the hook block reduces the visibility out of the front window. When traveling in the dolly, the boom will swing outside of the dolly when turning corners. Because of the length, the rear visibility is extremely limited. The operator cannot see anything directly behind. No matter what type of crane you are working with, the same principles we are discussing throughout the video apply. Take the time to talk to the operator, making sure you fully understand how the crane moves and any special considerations that come with it. Driving a crane is very different than any other type of equipment. Let's take a look at things from the operator's point of view. In the rough terrain, as you can see, the entire side opposite of the cab is only visible using the mirrors. When the boom is down low, the operator cannot see anything on that side. As you can see, the spotter is hard to see if they are not in the right position. Before moving, be sure to ask the operator where they want you to be in order to see you. Remember, if the operator ever loses sight of the spotter, they will immediately stop and remain stopped until they can clearly see their spotter again. Looking overhead, the operator cannot see anything in the shaded areas. You must be in full view and act as the operator's eyes for those areas. In the all-terrain, or truck mount, you can see that the end of the dolly is difficult for the operator to see. Notice how the spotter is difficult to see at this distance. The size of the truck mounts and all-terrains means a significant area has either limited vision or no vision for the operator. Given these restrictions, it should be clear why your role as a spotter is vital to the safety of the operation. When hazards are present, particularly in blind spots, it may be necessary to use additional spotters. Even if multiple spotters are used, the operator cannot watch more than one spotter in order to maintain consistent and clear communication at all times. The operator will designate a spotter to act as their designated spotter. Any additional spotters will only communicate with the designated spotter, who will be clearly identified. The operator will only watch and take direction from the designated spotter, with one exception. If anyone gives the emergency stop signal at any time for any reason, the operator will stop all movement immediately. The main means of communication between the operator and spotter is hand signals. The spotter must be familiar with the proper signals and what they mean. They must be clear and concise, with all movements performed away from the body to ensure that the operator can see them clearly. To indicate move straight forward, hold your arms up and slightly further apart than your shoulders. Face your palms forward and move both arms repeatedly forward. To indicate move straight backwards, hold your arms in the same way, but face your palms toward your back and move both arms repeatedly backwards. To have the operator turn, hold one arm straight in the intended direction and motion with the other arm toward that direction. As the crane gets closer, bring your palms together so the operator knows the approximate distance to the stop point and that a stop signal is coming. Upon reaching the stop point, give the stop signal by crossing your arms above your head and holding that position until the crane comes to a complete stop. To issue an emergency stop signal, wave both arms above your head repeatedly until the crane comes to a complete stop. When you are done signaling the crane and the area is clear for the crane to exit, point in the direction of the intended travel, then turn to face that direction and give the move straight forward signal. Wait until the operator acknowledges that you are finished before you stop signaling. In certain situations, radios may be used to assist you in spotting for the crane. Make sure you have extra batteries and that the channel you are using is reserved for the task and free from unnecessary chatter. Signals must be given from the operator's perspective. For example, if you say turn right, the operator will turn to his or her right. Each series of voice signals must contain 3 elements: function and direction, distance and/or speed, and function stop. For example,
hey Cody, can you cut your wheels to the right and keep on coming back?
Come back, 10 feet, come back, come back.
5 feet, come back, and stop.
Straight back 30 feet, 15 feet, 10 feet, 5 feet, stop. Signals must be clear, clean, and consistent, given continuously and repeated until no longer necessary. It is important that you understand the different ways cranes can move. For carry decks, rough terrains, all-terrains, and truck mounts, there are different steering modes that you need to be aware of. Front wheel steer works similar to most cars. The front axle directs the turn. This allows shorter turns but widens the turning radius. Working in a similar way, with rear wheel steering, the rear axle directs the movement. Four-wheel steering, both axles are working together, turning in opposite directions to make the shortest and tightest turns. Crab steering has both axles turn in the same direction, allowing the crane to move forward or backward on an angle. Clear communication with the operator will ensure that you are aware which mode the crane will be in. If you don't know, be sure to ask. As a spotter, you are the last line of defense against any damage or harm. You are the operator's eyes and connection to the work area around them. It's one of the most important roles on a job site. If you're feeling like you're not able to do the job, don't be a hero. Tell your operator and they will find a different spotter. Above all else, stay safe out there.